Rachel, what's happening, man?
Hey, Fran, what's going on, dude?
Good,
I'm so
good,
happy
good.
to get this call.
Yeah, right. No shit. Thank you for doing this for me too.
Absolutely,
You're
man.
way out of my league, just like every other chick I try to go on a date with.
Bullshit.
But I'm like, okay, man, he's gonna do it. Cool, cool. Yeah,
No, man, I was psyched when you sent me that text. I was like,
yeah,
fuck, he's got a podcast. Killer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's
how long
cool.
have we known each other?
God, man. At least
20 years.
At least. Yeah, because you lived in Atlanta when I met you, and I think we met through a dear friend of ours, Cleve Willis.
Cleve, yeah.
Yeah,
We met
Cleveland.
through him,
Yeah.
and I met him about 4 or 5 years into living down there. And I lived there for 14, and then I lived in Nashville. Oh, I've known you for more than 20 years
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. It's been a long time.
Yeah, shit, man.
And we got to do some work. I remember you guys brought me on the road.
Yep.
You guys did a show in New York on Times Square, I think. And I remember just going backstage, and I was like, oh, I was a little startled. Like Mike Piazza was back there, remember?
That's right. That was that was at the Hard Rock. It was the record release party.
Yeah. For what album? What
album? Revolutions Per Minute.
Okay. Well, that leads me into this next segment. It's like you guys just recently reissued that album, right?
We did. The label wanted to reissue it, and we remastered it, and I think it just came out about a week or so ago.
Okay. Have you had any responses with the fans that are thinking about the re-release? Any new fans that maybe didn't know about it?
Well, I mean, it's still pretty newly re-released, but I didn't realize that it had an impact as it did, because people were really stoked that it's coming out on vinyl and all that.
Right.
I'm still waiting for my vinyl in the mail because I'm a vinyl junkie. So it's like, give me mine,
Yeah.
But they I've been watching, just reading stuff online on posts and that they did from the Skid Row Instagram, and it's been really positive, and everyone was just saying their favorite songs, and the whole time I was just like, I didn't think people gave a shit about that record, but they do.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to know that what you did. God, when did we release that? 2000. I don't even remember. 2012, maybe. I forget, but it's pretty cool, and people are naming their favorite tracks and all that stuff. So I'm psyched. We're gonna do that with a lot. There it is. We're gonna do that with all the Johnny era.
Oh,
stuff.
cool. Yeah. I always had pleasant memories of that guy, man. I remember doing this. I think this was in the basement of the studio or something, but I was getting to learn how to do HDR with photography, and I think I overdid it quite a bit. But but there's poor Johnny, man.
Yeah, there's Johnny boy. Yep, single.
Yeah. So looking back now, do you think that album was overlooked in the beginning to where now it's getting re-released and catching new ears?
Yeah, I think it definitely was. I mean, we were on a small label, independent label out of Germany. I mean, our new label's out of Germany, but they're technically independent, but they're a big dog, and they got solid distribution all over the world. But when that came out, the craziest thing was it was very experimental, because we were just like, what do we do? We've been around so long, we at the time we were still working to rebuild the brand. I mean, it was 2 albums into, quite a few years and quite a few tours into Johnny being in the band. And now at this point, Rob's in the band. What was he in a?
Yeah,
he wasn't in the band at the point of recording that album. But it was, we were rebuilding the brand and working really hard at it. And we were just like, is anyone going to listen to this? Is anyone going to even get to hear it, let alone listen to it? And, we saw online that, and when we were on the road, people were into it. It didn't make a huge impact. But now, so many years down the road, it is garnering attention that is great. We're like really psyched about it. And now once we're back with another singer, we have a singer, we're back on the road, we may start putting some of it in the set, which would be great.
That's cool. Revisiting that album, are there any tracks on there that are hitting you differently now than when it first came out?
I would say just about all of them, because it was very experimental, and we were just doing everything, like
Right.
that one song, "You Lie," it's for all intents and purposes, 3/4 of it is a country song, a
Right.
bluegrass song. And I'm just like, wow, man, we had some balls doing this, but that's rock and roll, right? You just take chances, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, I listened to it, and I listened to some of the lyrics that I wrote. I'm like, man, where was my head at this time?
Right. Right.
But
So
it's cool to listen to,
Oh yeah. In re-releasing some of these albums, are you hoping to just gain new fans, or is it just
that would be awesome to gain new fans would be great. I'm really curious to see what happened when Thick Skin gets re-released.
Right.
Because I'm just watching such a positive reaction with RPM that I'm like, wow, when Thick Skin gets because that was our first album back as a band,
Right.
And that was Johnny's first record. And we worked so damn hard on that record, and wrote, and we recorded it once and mixed it, and it was done. And it was funny because we were all staying at Snakes except for Scotty, because we were all getting divorced. So
God.
we all had a room at Snake's house, So it was cool because it was always like, you get up, eat breakfast, go downstairs, make music. You know what I mean? Snake had a killer studio. Anyway, so when that album was released, it just, we worked so hard on it. We recorded it once, we mixed it once, and then we brought the mixes home, and everyone's listened to it in different rooms. And then Scotty got there. He was the only one not getting divorced at the time. He got there, and he's like, yeah, it's cool, man. The mix is great, blah, blah, blah. And I kept my mouth shut. I wasn't saying anything. Everyone looks at me and goes, what? And I go, I don't think it sounds good. And they're like, yeah, I don't either. And everyone's just, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. So we went back into the studio specifically to remix it and make a couple rewrites lyrically and stuff, and ended up writing a couple more songs, and went in there and then re-recorded about 2/3 of the record, and remixed everything. And then it came out the way it did, and we were all happy. And that was the first time we really wrote with outside writers, we wrote with Damon Johnson from Brother Kane, and who's a dear, dear friend. He's in Lynyrd Skynyrd and has been for years now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. We just, I was in Atlanta at the time. I think was I staying there? I think I might have just been staying there, but we just, all of us got rooms at a hotel. We'd meet at noon, and we'd write and write and write, take a dinner break, go back and write and write. And we wrote about 4 or 5 songs. I think 3 of them made the record. So it was a cool experience behind that album. And so I'm curious to see what happens when that comes out, just seeing how positive the reaction RPM is.
Right. So putting out a new record like that after, Sebastian Bach had left the band or was fired or quit or wherever he did, how nervous were you releasing that record to the public to hear for the first time?
What I was most nervous about is that we weren't on a major label, that we were just on a indie label, and what we were doing is just licensing deals everywhere around the world. That was
Gotcha.
the accounting was like just insane. But it wasn't nervous in the way that people were going to hate it. I was just nervous about people being able to hear it, because we knew pretty much we weren't going to get played on the radio, because they weren't even playing the old Skid Row on the radio at the time. So we just wanted to get on the road and get out there and then play shit live and see where it went from there. And as luck would have it, we got the first Kiss farewell tour in 2000. And, we went on, we only played for like 35 minutes. We went on before Nugent. And when the first couple shows we went out, it was pretty light in the arena. But then as word got out, it was half full, 3/4 full. And then we're just like, shit, we got as many people in front of us as Nugent. You know what I mean? And it was great. And then Nugent split the tour, And then we got a 45 or 50-minute set and made it even better, you know, and we were playing in front of a packed house, and it just went from there. And we knew we were on to something pretty special with Johnny, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that tour because I was on it for just a little bit as the tour photographer, and seeing you guys. I did Atlanta, Chattanooga, somewhere in Florida, I think, and the Carolinas. I don't remember.
Right.
But I remember seeing you guys. Yeah, I was just like, wow, this is different, you know?
Yeah.
But it was still cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we just went out there and did what we knew how to do. You know, we weren't trying to reinvent ourselves or anything. We just went out and just rocked.
Yeah. And so another connection of ours that happened besides just Cleve was I toured with Dragon Force for a bit back in the day. So I got to know ZP and Herman and, you know, the whole band really.
Yeah.
And I guess when Johnny bounced, you know, ZP hit me up. He's like, man, you got any connections to those guys in Skid Row? I'm like, actually, I do.
Yeah.
And I remember hitting you up. I'm like, do you mind if I introduce you to my buddy ZP? You know? And that happened, but I'm guessing you guys wanted to start a side band with him at first, right?
Yeah, that's when Johnny was still in the band. And I think ZP left Dragon Force, and that's when you connected the two of us.
Yeah.
And so Rob Hammersmith said, well, man, let's put together a side project with this dude. Got a cool voice, you know, he's cool looking, whatever. And on the way, we had a gig in Moscow. I want to say we had a couple Russian gigs, and why don't we fly out a few days early? We'll fly into London, hang out with them, and see what's up. So we did that, and we hung out. We had a great time, and we said, okay, we'll get things going. And then Skid Row got super busy, and ZP started IMI, and just nothing ever materialized. Right. And then I don't know how much time went by, a lot of time actually. And then we split with Johnny and got Harnell in the band for a short time, very short time.
Yeah, I remember.
And then when he was gone, ZP hit me up. He goes, all right, are you going to bring it up, or am I going to bring it up, or some shit like that? It was really funny. So we said, yeah, let's get together and jam. And we got together and jammed, and he did great. And then we went out for years and had a blast. We had a really good time with Z.
And he's got a great range, man. He could hit all those early songs.
Yeah, without a doubt. It was kind of effortless for him. He has a high voice, you know what I mean? And we were a band that he was into as a kid, and so he heard the songs a million times. Some of his interpretations of the lyrics was pretty great.
Right.
One night on stage, I heard him during Slave to the Grind, and I kept hearing this one line, and I'm like, I got to bring this up to him. And I forget. The show would go by, because that's our opening song. Show would go by, and the next night I'd hear, and this is like 3 or 4 months into the tour. And I go, and then I remembered, and I go, dude, what do you say in Slave to the Grind after you better mark my words? You better mark my words because I masturbate. That's what he says. I go, because I masturbate? I go, it's because I'm history. You better mark my words because I'm history. I go, did you fucking read the lyrics? He goes, no, I just memorized them from when I was a kid. I go, so you've been singing that since you were 16?
Oh, my God. Yep. That is hysterical.
There's a couple other ones, too, but they weren't as funny as that one. But we all hit the floor laughing when he said that. It was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, and all those Dragon Force guys were pretty hysterical. I remember when I was touring with them, we played in Fort Lauderdale or Miami or whatever, and they wore their stage clothes 24 leather, you know, the whole deal. Let's go to the beach, you know. So we did. They're walking through the sand and, you know, Miami Beach, like in leather, their boots, the whole deal. So fucking funny. Great, man. Yeah. Okay. So ZP exit, in comes Eric, and you guys kind of discovered him online, right? Like his ability.
No,
No.
His band was opening, or I should say the band he was in, this band Heat from Sweden, was opening for Skid Row, I think, on our UK run of one of our tours. And it's funny, when I first, I was putting together the ads for TV and online, like all the video stuff. So I was editing them and putting them together. And I was like, that's the first time I heard of the band, and I heard his voice. I was like, wow, his voice is in a really cool register. And I go, it's kind of Skid Row area, and the tonal quality. I just liked his voice. So I just had in the back of my head, it's like maybe a side project one day or some shit. And so then they started opening for us, and we could hear him from the dressing room. It was like, wow, this dude's got a really good voice. And then when we split with ZP, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to hit this guy up on Instagram. And he just happened to do a cover of 18 in Life. So so I hit him up, and it all just fell into place. We were in the middle of doing The Gang's All Here.
Right.
So we just sent him some stuff and said, see what you could do on it, dude. See what it is. It was secretly his audition.
That is wild.
Yeah, so he did it, and it came back, and we dug it, and Nick, our producer, dug it and said, you should ask this guy. So we did, and here we are.
Yeah,
without him now, but
exactly. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see the tour in Atlanta. I swung by to go with my mom.
Yeah,
I came. It was you guys and Buck Cherry, and it was packed, like capacity.
That was a cool show.
Yeah. So as you're going through all these years and decades now, like I recently went to go see Creed, right? And it seems like all these bands from that era, like Nickelback, you guys, even Disturbed, man, I just saw them at Madison Square Garden a couple weeks ago. What is that revival looking like? Like, can you see the tension? Like, this is coming back.
Yeah, and like we were before a lot of those bands, but for some reason, Skid Row kind of fits in with a lot of those bands.
Right.
Let me rephrase that. Skid Row has been accepted by a lot of their fans. Like a lot of the active rock, like the Stone Sours and Hailstorm and Slipknot and Nickelback, a lot of their fans dig Skid Row. And for whatever reason, but it's cool. So, I mean, Skid Row itself is like, we're getting to be one of the last bands standing from our era. You know, there's a few of us, but a lot of them are retiring. A lot of them stopped touring. A lot of them stopped making records. So, we're just always full steam ahead. That's just all we know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're going to, we're right now actively auditioning singers. We got some guys this coming weekend that we're auditioning.
Oh, cool. Are they known people, or are these people that are just like, what does that process look like for Skid Row these days?
What is the what?
What does that process look like for you guys these days?
There's no one they're known, not on the level that Skid Row is known, but they're known, and they're professional. They're road dogs. They're used to it. They know what to expect. They're not worried about content for their TikTok.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
they're all about the music and all about getting out there and playing, because it's what it was their calling. It's not a job; it's their calling. So, and that's us.
And you guys grind. It's not like you guys take a whole bunch of time off.
No. Yeah. We if we could be out there playing, we're going to be out there playing, because that's what we love to do, man. And you look at a band, you just mentioned Buck Cherry. I don't know any band that works as much as those guys.
Right.
They sometimes they'll do 300 shows in a year.
Wow.
We max out at about 100, 125. Those guys, man, talk about grinding it.
Dude, you know who else does? I spoke with Glenn Sobel on here the other day. Alice Cooper takes 0 time off.
it's amazing,
dude. He's almost 80.
I know, it blows my mind. It's like that's what I want to do. That's how I want to do it. You know,
is it because you're obviously, I'm sure you're financially secure, but is it more of a? I remember when I toured back in the day, and I don't miss it. That's just me though. But if I hear a tour bus or a truck, I have PTSD from it. Like some of my touring experiences sucked, right? Like some of the bands I worked for, it was just like, just get me home, you know?
Right.
Do you ever have that? Like,
man, when I'm on the road, I love being on the road, but there are times, I think it happens to everybody once you get over certain, when your tenure of you know, really putting in the time, and some guys start families, or you sometimes you just want to get home, you know, you don't. I always, sometimes I feel like I'm just too worn out to go on stage until I start getting dressed to go on stage. And then I'm just like, yeah, what the fuck was I complaining about? You know?
Right.
But it's not the time on stage that beats me up. It's checking in for flights. It's being on a flight, sitting down for 8 hours. It's being in a tour bus, either laying down or standing up, moving at all times, you know, and never having the same thing in the same place every single day. That's what wears me down, physically and mentally. But it's like I said, this is our calling. This isn't something that we're doing as just for fun, just the hobby. I mean, we do have a ton of fun, but it's not a hobby. It's not like a side hustle or anything. This is our calling. We're musicians, we're professionals, and we were put on this earth to do this. And I believe that 100%. And so you just get through it. You just power through the times where you feel like you're just too worn out to do anything, because it does. The travel beats the shit out of me. It really beats the shit out of me sometimes. Not all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's nothing more than I hate with a passion than the airport experience. Getting on the plane, I'm good.
Right.
It's the airport, getting your luggage, dragging it through the airport, going through security. Wait, you know, if you're not flying business, you're not in the lounge, you know, drinking whatever, you know, and it's just sitting there with a gate lice, and you're like, fuck, kill me. Right?
I know. All right. Well, we pretty much exclusively fly Delta, right?
Yeah. Same.
We've been, because you lived in Atlanta, so you build up all that status, and you don't want to lose it. So, but they truly are a really good airline. So what this is going back years, and this is when I still lived in Atlanta, and I was doing my taxes, right? And I was putting all my receipts together, and I separated them all, and I sent them to our business manager. Her name was Judy Olson. She was great. And she calls me. She goes, "So Rachel, do you own stock in Grey Goose vodka?" And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Do you want to know how much you spent just in airports? I don't know what you spent on it in bars or when you were off the road, but just in airports. Do you want to know how much you spent this year?" I go, "Okay." She goes, $2,200. And I go, "What?" She goes, "That's just Grey Goose." And I go, "What?" She goes, "Why don't you?" And we were new. This is when we first started, like, the fly dates, you know what I mean?
Right.
Otherwise, it was just like, we had a travel agent. They put us on a plane. We fucking went. She goes, "Why don't you just spend $300 and get a membership to at the time it was called the Crown Room, I believe."
Yep.
The Delta Crown Room, right? And I go, "What the hell is that?" She's like, it's the airport lounge. You could eat and drink in there for free." I was like,
right.
So
after you heard, I was going to say, after you heard that amount that you spent, did you raise your hand and go, "Hi, I'm Rachel Bolan. I'm an alcoholic"?
Yeah, you'd think I would have said that, but I was just like, okay, I could get free booze. This is great. So to me, I was just like, shit, I just saved myself $1,900.
Totally,
you
man.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so that's,
yeah.
but
and then if you're smart, and I'm sure you guys probably do, use the American Express Platinum card for all your travel and just gain all those points.
I use the American Express Delta card.
Yeah, same here. I haven't paid for a flight. And I, like you guys, I've traveled all around the world or whatever. And I give the travel agents my credit card and, book this. So I haven't paid for a business class or first class flight in 10 years.
I know, dude. I can't remember the last time I actually paid cash for a flight.
Yeah. There's no deal. I just went to New York to go visit my son. We love Seven Dust. Those are Atlanta boys, and I've known those guys since before that. But they played with Disturbed at Madison Square Garden, and I've never shot at Madison Square Garden before, so they invited us out, and what an experience, man! Have you guys played Madison Square?
Nope, never.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, man.
I believe we were supposed to play it twice, once with Bon Jovi, and I think once with Aerosmith, but I think either hockey playoffs or basketball playoffs always take precedence. So then they usually move it into Jersey or to Nassau Coliseum.
Right.
And that's what happened. We got close,
super close.
Never did, man. We played the Paramount.
Yeah.
That's connected. That's like the 4,000 seater. We headlined that with Pantera opening for us, but we never got in the big room that they used to call the Rotunda.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they called the arena the Rotunda.
And then the next night I got to go see, because I'd never been to Music City what's it called? Music City?
Radio City Music Hall.
Radio City Music Hall. Yeah. Thank you. So I saw Dream Theater the next night.
Oh, wow.
Promoters or a PR guy was like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Sure, man. I've never been."
Yeah.
What a great venue, man.
It really is. I saw Rush there when I was a kid.
No, you did not.
So Rush there, and that band Marillion opened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Seeing it was cool. I felt bad for Marillion because everyone was booing them. And I was just like, I felt really bad. But we were way up. We got the cheap seats, but you could still see great. And it sounded fucking amazing. And seeing Rush, it was the what tour was it? It's before they were doing like Mondo fucking arenas. I guess it was, what was it? Moving Pictures, maybe? Right before like Limelight and everything really exploded. You know what I mean? What was that Moving Pictures with Limelight and all that? So. So that's what it was. And it's before like they had a bona fide radio hit on American radio. And I saw them there, and then within months they came back and they were doing the Garden and stuff like that.
Wow.
So,
so talking about that trajectory, how long was it before you guys released the big album to where you guys were playing giant places, having people like Pantera open for you guys?
Well, the first album came out, and actually the day it came out was our first day on the road with Bon Jovi. It was the first show. So that was arenas, but we were opening, and we opened most of that except when, we did smaller places. And when we went to the UK, and we went through the UK on our own doing, 2,000 cap rooms. But when Slave to the Grind came out, our first show of that tour, we went out with Guns N' Roses, and it's funny because I think we were out with Guns, and they Use Your Illusion albums were coming out, and both bands were on tour. I think we were out for almost 3 or 4 or 5 weeks maybe before our albums were even released, but they just started the tour just by the strength of our past and Guns N' Roses past. So we went out, we did the Guns tour, and then when we started our headlining tour, we started in Asheville, and there was we had Pantera open for us, and that's when we started playing arenas. Was in Asheville, small, like we played some big arenas, but some of them were I say small, but they were still like 10,000 seaters and stuff like that. Like amateur, not amateur, but like minor league hockey
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All that kind of shit, and it was great. It was awesome, man. We had a blast. Being out with Pantera, my God.
I was like, you still have a liver?
Yeah, you know what's funny, man, is I could drink, right? And like but those guys would drink before they went on stage. I never drank before I went on stage. Now before I met Pantera, and you're talking like well into my career. I wouldn't drink a drop until I came off stage, and sometimes I wouldn't. I mean, I drink sometimes I wouldn't, but oh my God, when those guys, we talk to those guys on the road, they're just like, Dimebag's like, come on, man, get you some. And he had like the black tooth grins out. And like, I'm like, you guys are shooting whiskey. You don't go on for another hour and a half. And it's like, come on, man, come on. And so, so that kind of changed how I did things.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, my first Pantera experience was when I was still shooting for Metal Edge when Jerry Miller was still around.
Right.
And she commissioned me to go shoot a photo shoot with not live, but like a session.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to expect, man. And I only got like 3 minutes to do it. It was right before they're about to go on stage.
Right.
Dude, they were doing Jaeger bombs during the photo shoot, like shooting birds and da-da-da. I send the pictures off to Jerry. She called. She was pissed.
Yeah.
I can't use any of this shit. They're doing shots or shooting birds and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Jerry, do you want me to try to control Pantera? Are you fucking crazy? But it was a great experience though, man. Just seeing that energy of those guys together, and they were real. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. There was nothing false about those guys. They, it's funny because Dimebag used to, almost every night, he just turned the dressing room upside down.
Yeah.
Almost every single night. There would be all the melted ice that was in all the coolers. It would be a puddle on the floor. All the lunch meat would be stuck to the mirror, like in a pentagram, mustard with a pentagram and mustard and all this stuff. And he's just sitting there, and I walk in, and I was like, "Look at you!"
Oh my God.
What are you doing? He's like, "Hey, man, just having some fun, just making art." And
oh my God.
And so I'm like, dude, I'm just going to tell you this because I'm speaking from experience. Everything you fuck up, like as far as destroy or break or, defile, I said, you got to pay for it at the end of the tour. I said, don't get a bill at the end of the tour. Get a fucking check, man.
Yeah.
And he started toning it down because his brother Vinny was just like, I don't know what you said to him, but
it worked.
He goes, I said it to him too. And then he saw the proof and he started chilling out. It was pretty funny. I used to take my knuckle like this and I go in his chest. I go, every time. He'd be like, man.
Yeah. So that wasn't the first time. Yeah. So he was doing
that dude was one of the most creative people I've ever met in my life. He was always doing something, always making videos, always playing guitar. I always carried a 4-track with me, like a little mini studio in a suitcase. It was a road case, but the size of a suitcase. And sometimes he'd come to the room and if we were staying in the same hotel on day off, and he'd just put up some drum loops and I'll play, and I'm just watching him play. I'm like, I'm watching greatness, and it's sitting on the end of the other bed in my room, and I'm just watching this happen. And it was unbelievable. And one day he came in because it was all recorded on cassette, and he goes, hey, can you just throw me random drum loops? I go, how long you want them? He goes, I don't care. He goes, make it one track. I go, you want them connected? He goes, I want you to go through with the loops and just randomly pick and just let it record. I'm like, all right. I did that. I did about 5 minutes worth of that. I gave it to him. And he goes, ride our bus tonight. I want you to play bass on some stuff. Bring a bass. So I bring a bass. That motherfucker just wrote right over. And I'm talking like these crazy ass time signatures. I was just hitting them randomly. I'm like, he said hit them randomly. And it was kind of getting funny for me. I was like, he's not going to fucking come up with anything. He had shit over the whole thing. And he goes, play bass to that. I'm like, do what now? I'm like, what? He goes, just anything that comes to mind. Just do it. Do it. And at that very moment, it taught me something. And that I learned from him is that don't be too like, don't grasp what you do so tight that you don't realize there's other shit to do out there musically. You know what I'm saying? And so I did it, and I was playing all this stuff, and I'm like, I would never play this in a million years. And he's like, keep going, man, keep going. And I did it. And then he put other guitars over the top of it. And it was amazing. I wish I could find that. I wonder if somebody has that this day. But it blew my mind just watching him go and just seeing how creative he was.
Yeah. And they were pretty innovative on the video front too. They had a video camera going all the time, and it made those treasures that were released years later.
He's busted in a few times. I was backing one out. I was just like, oh, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he would always go to, like, when back then there was, what was it called? The U edits or something like that, or minute edit. And he'd go in on a day off and just do all that shit, you know, edit their videos for, I got a hair in my mouth, putting together a home video. And he was the most creative guy I've ever met. And so he cared so much about his fans. Like, he would do anything for his fans. An example, I was on, I rode their bus one night. It wasn't that night. I was hanging with Rex, and we may have been drinking a lot. Anyway, so I got in the junk bunk, and Dime was across. He was directly across, and he had the flu. Bad, and coughing. It sounded like he was going to die. He gets in bed, and he comes on the bus, and he's all wrapped up, and he's like, he gets in bed. I heard him get up once before we started rolling and get sick, and then get back in bed. And then at the time, their tour manager guy comes in and knocks on his bunk, on the wall of his bunk. Said, Dime, there's a couple fans that really want to meet you. They've been waiting out there. You want me to just tell them you're sick? He's like, no, dude, I got it. And I'm like, I do this with my curtain. I'm like, he is not getting out of his bunk. And he got out, put a towel around his head, tucked it in his shirt. He's in his pajamas. He puts on all his jackets and his shoes, and he went out and took pictures with every single one of them. He was out there 15, 20 minutes in the freezing cold.
Wow. Got
back on the bus, got in bed, and I'm just like, people need to know about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people need to learn. People on our side of shit need to learn about this, because seeing a guy do something like that, feeling the way he did, honestly, he should have been in a hospital, because he was so fucking sick. And he got up in the freezing cold, signed shit, took pictures, and then got back in bed. And
that's an
we
amazing
rocked,
story.
Went, played another gig. He's unbelievable. He was unbelievable. Great soul, great talent, and great loss, you know?
Yeah. That was devastating. I'll never forget the day that he was shot. I was in Billings, Montana on tour with Slayer, getting ready for the show. And I get a phone call from Mick Thompson, the guitar player for Slipknot, breaking the news to me. He's like, dude, you're not going to believe this shit. I was like, what? He goes, Dimebag was just murdered on stage.
It's horrible. It was terrible.
It was.
I was in Atlanta, and I was selling my house. The first time I was trying to sell my house, and it wasn't moving. The market was really bad. Anyway, so I had an apartment actually in Old Fourth Ward, and I had to go do some shit to the house, and it was late at night. I put my phone, I only have one TV in the house because I moved everything out. And so it was down in the basement where our old rehearsal room was. And so anyway, I had a futon. Long story short, I had a TV and a futon, but no cell service down there. So I just left my phone on charge upstairs, and I got up and I went to do shit at the house. I was just too tired to drive back to the apartment. So I crashed on the futon, and I got up, and the phone that I had at the time when there were messages had a light that would beep. And I was like, whoa, that thing. And I opened it up, and I was like, holy shit. And I'm listening and it was Johnny Solinger. And he's like, Rach, call me right away. Rachel, call me right away. I didn't have cable. I didn't have TV. I was just watching Family Guy DVDs downstairs on the TV.
Right.
And he's like, call me right away. Call me right away. Call me right away. And he goes, this is devastating. And he called me like 8 times, and each message got more and more urgent. So I called him like, what the fuck? And then he told me, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was just sitting on my stairs going, this can't be fucking true. And, you know, we didn't have iPhones and shit then.
Right.
I had to wait till I got home, and then I saw it, and I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. It was devastating.
Yeah. It was like when Elvis died. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was playing a video game at a grocery store, and they announced it over the PA. All the cash registers went quiet. The buggy stopped rolling. You heard people crying. Like, it was devastating. Yeah.
I was watching the 4:30 movie.
Yeah, right.
And I remember they broke in and said it, and I went in. My parents let me eat dinner in front of TV. I think it was Monster Week on the 4:30 movie. So I was watching Godzilla, and it broke in. I just went upstairs like, oh, Elvis Presley died. And my parents go, what?
Yeah.
They're like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
like,
it was crazy.
The reactions back then.
Yeah.
Before we jump into this next thing, so Eric is out of the band now, and then you bring in Lizzie Hale came in to finish the tour out.
Yeah.
I've toured with they've been on tours that I have been on, right? I think they've Stain, Godsmack, or whoever I was with. Dude, she is a bad ass vote. I put her up. She's like a female Rob Halford.
Yeah,
right?
Wow, that's high praise coming from you.
Yeah. Her and Ann Wilson to me are like bow down. What was that like hearing that voice through those songs, man, and have her interpretations of them? What was that like? Were you like, I could get used to this, or what?
It was fucking awesome. And because in my head, we had these gigs, and I'm like, I was in Nashville getting that house ready to sell. And it was Nick Raskulinix, our producer, who also produced Hailstorm. It was his birthday. So his wife texted me. She goes, we're having a birthday party for Nick. If you're still in Nashville, we'd love for you to come. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I saw Lizzie there. So she's become like a little sister to me over the years, you know, and we always bounce ideas off each other. Anyway, she's like a little sister, you know, and she sits down next to me in the booth. She's like, how you doing, bro? And I'm like, I'm good. And I said, let me ask you something. I go, you want to do a few shows with us? And she's like, when? Like, what do you mean? Like jam? And I'm like, no, like sing for Skid Row. We have 4 shows that we want to keep, and we would love for you to do them. And she said, yeah. She goes, let me just make sure the schedule's cool, and I'll let you know within the next couple of days. And she did. And I knew she was going to crush it. I absolutely knew in my heart that she was going to crush it. And she crushed it so hard. It was great.
Right.
When she came out, or like, so, because I was leaving for vacation. And I was like, how many rehearsals do you need? Because I'll just cut my vacation short and come home. And she's like, no. She goes, but just 1. And I'm like, really? So I call our manager. I'm like, hey, let's see, is the venue dark the night before the first show? And he said, yes. I go, see if we could use the venue to rehearse with Liz. And everything was cool. So we got home, and I was like, you sure? Just 1? I said, do you have any questions about anything? She's like, no. And so we sent her the 75-minute set, and it had all these songs. And so we get to rehearsal, and she's like, I want to make sure I make you guys proud. I was like, Lizzie, you just being here is making me proud. Like, I couldn't be more proud than just having you consider to do this, you know?
Right.
And she goes, I'm going to hold back a little bit. I don't want to blow it out. I go, oh, absolutely. No problem. obviously her version of holding back and my version of holding back have completely different definitions. So she did that, and I just happened. My wife was. She came for part of the rehearsal, and she was sitting there, and I looked over and she's like, "Wow," she's going, "Holy shit!" And so we got through the first show, and it was amazing. Second show, and then the following weekend we had 2 more shows, and then the last show I was sitting with Lizzie before, and I go, "You know what I'm going to ask you after the show, right?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "If I could do both, I would." She goes, "I just can't." And I go, I get it. She goes, "I'm not saying that I can't do more shows with you guys if you need me, but I can't do both because we're just so busy." I go, "I know." I go, you guys are out there,
yeah,
doing it. But man, that would have been fucking cool.
She is so talented, man.
She really is.
And I'll never say this because she's a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but like Nita Strauss is a badass guitar player, not because she's a female.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So it's like, man, she can hang tough with anybody, man. And to pull those songs off.
Yeah. And
no easy feat.
No. And our fans loved her. Her fans loved us, which was really cool because she, she's the biggest female rock star on the face of the planet. You know what I mean? And a lot of Hailstorm fans were there, and just another person who is just so nice to fans. Our manager came in, and he just said, "Yeah, there's a few little girls out there that want to meet you." And I told them you were, it was after the show and you were just chilling and stuff. She goes, "Where? Bring them back."
Wow.
2 families worth of people came back, and she took pictures with everybody, and not only took pictures, sat there and talked to these little girls, because I do believe it's important to Lizzie to show other girls and women that, you could kick ass in a boys club, because she could kick ass in the boys club, man. I wouldn't fight her.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. And everything that she's been doing, I'm really proud of her. She doesn't miss an opportunity to do something, and to do something well. She never really does anything. She never does anything half-assed. She just always goes on 10. And I love that about her.
Yeah. I remember, I don't know when I first met them, but I remember the mom and dad were on tour with them. They were in an RV before they had a tour bus.
Oh, wow.
And you're right, man. They would go out and sign until everybody was finished. Period. The whole band, not just her, but like Joe, her brother, bass player, but
Josh.
Yeah. It was so great. So she's gone, and I just read, is it yesterday or day before yesterday, where Tracy Guns, did you read this?
A little bit. A little bit.
I love it. I love it.
It's just like, I love how these people, it's a bummer because I thought Tracy was a bud, but
he didn't dish you guys. What he said was,
I saw 2 different things. One,
the one I saw was like, the Skid Row guys are insane for leaving millions of dollars on the table for not bringing back your former singer.
Which is really funny, because everyone thinks that they're an accountant. They think they're accountant, promoters. Everyone thinks that they know how much is coming in. We approached that at one point, and obviously it imploded very quickly. There's not millions of dollars out there.
Right.
There's not much. Yeah. I mean, we're making, as Skid Row, we're making really good money.
Yep.
It wasn't much more.
Could Skid Row theoretically put a tariff on these promoters?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I saw that, and I'm just like, why doesn't Tracy just stay in his own yard? You know what I mean? It's like, dude.
Because he knows the economics of touring and what it costs and what they're offering, right?
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. Well,
he think, like, it's funny hearing him, because other people shout out numbers too.
Yeah.
They're like, they can make this and that. And the other thing, it's like, one, no, we can't. That's totally false. And 2, quality of life, motherfuckers. you want to be happy. You want to be happy doing what you're doing. And I'm not here to talk shit about anybody. Everyone, there's that career and there's my career. Tracy has his own career. He should worry about that and not about Skid Row.
Right. Right. Let's say you guys, and you deservedly so, belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day. What does that look like with him, your former singer? Like, would you participate in it if he's in it and pull out 3 songs like the?
I'm not worried about getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's never going to happen. So that would be a bridge I would cross when I came to it.
Okay,
but it's nothing that I worry about, because we're just one of those bands that will never be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You never know, man. Whoever thought Priest would be, or Dolly Parton, or
I did. I thought Priest would be, because they've been around so long and they put out so many albums and so many great albums. I mean, they've been around since the 70s. People forget about all those early ones where they were all like in hats and long
komodos
and like, angel wings and shit like that. And, people forget about that. They've been around a long, long time.
Right.
I'm not checking the mailbox for that invitation.
I think you guys are going to get in one day.
We'll see.
Those albums are so great and so influential.
Well, I appreciate that. We'll see what happens. Who knows?
Yeah. So do you get like random DMs from people trying to send you tapes for the new vocalist position?
Oh yeah. Sure do. Some are cool. Some are really cool. Some people are, somehow get my email and just are really, really persistent. And it's just like, dude, I'll call you I'll call you if, know, and, but it's really funny when people just, and it's not, sometimes people are just like, oh, you got to check out this guy, or you got to check out this girl and this and that. And they'd be perfect. And or people go, I know your whole catalog and all this stuff. And, God bless them. But, some of them just aren't singers, and it's like singing in the shower is a lot different than singing that download. You know what I mean? So, gotta love it for people wanting to try it and just having the balls to contact one of us, either a DM or whatever. And it's like, cool, man, maybe not right for us, but don't quit, keep
never
going,
quit. Yeah. Never quit.
And, but yeah, we've been inundated for the past few months. It's been like, we've been weeding through a lot of stuff. And Nick, our producer, he's been going through we sent him some stuff. It's like, are we hearing? Because sometimes you listen to so much, you can't even be objective. And, you get those moments where it's like, man, we got to find somebody and get back on the road and all this. And this is the first time in a long time that we've had the luxury of time. Like when we got Eric, we didn't have time. It's just everything kind of fell into place, but we were in the middle of making a record. You should have seen how that Zoom meeting went when we told the label that we're getting a new singer. Thankfully, they knew him and they thought it was a great choice. Otherwise, they may have just been, you guys are out of your fucking mind. You're dropped. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But we have the best label. They're so cool and they're so just supportive. And Max, the general manager, he's just such a fan of music. Him and I sometimes will have conversations just about like the most obscure bands that he listens to, that I listen to.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he's a lover of music, which is really cool because it's the music business, but a lot of times the business comes before the music.
Yeah.
Where he is the music before the business, and I absolutely love that about him.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you fulfilled the sacred contract of talking about your former singer, so we can move on.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sorry you're not getting offered millions and millions of dollars, because if you were, I'd be like, I have worked with bands that hate each other. There's formulas to keep you guys separated and make millions, but
yeah,
I get it. Let's talk about Rachel Bolan, the entrepreneur. I'm going to put this up here real quick because I've bought it before. Your Dirty Rocker soap.
Dirty Rocker soap company.
Yeah, let's talk that. What made you jump in the world of soap and grooming?
Man, I'll tell you what, it was an idea I had because we have some stuff. We have like liquor, and we were working on a hot sauce. We've had coffee and stuff like that. And this was, I guess, around 2017 or 18. A friend of mine named Jeannie Basson, when I lived in Nashville, she would make soap and just sell it at on Etsy and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, that would be a really good idea. Like, every artist or band has all this other stuff. Soap would be really cool. It was that, and the fact that I used some of her soap when I went on the road. I'm like, this is a game changer because it's all natural and stuff. And it's like, sometimes, you get those little chiclets size soap and you're like this, and then you're like, I'm dry and I'm ashy and this sucks. So I brought it on the road, and I'm like, this would be really cool. I just never had the time. 2020, the world gets turned upside down. I'm like, okay, I got nothing but time now. So she showed me how to make soap. And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she started formulating some stuff. She's really good with formulas because she's a hospice nurse, and she's always working with minute, medication amounts of medications for all this stuff. So she's breaking down all this stuff. It's like, boy, if you do this with this oil and this oil, and I'm like, this is like math class. Yeah. And so we did it, and I in the meantime, I had secured the name and the trademark and all that, and the URL. I secured that just in case it came to pass, and it did. And I was like, at the time, I didn't make any of it. I commissioned my friend Jeannie to make it, and I'm like, just make me 4 different ones. I want a one that has sandalwood and lavender, just a pure nothing in it. There was a couple other ones. The one with tea tree oil and like a citrus. I said, just make those. Make me 10 bars of each. And they call them loaves because you make them in loaves and then you cut them.
Right.
And I'm going to build a website, because she goes, okay, well, you got 3 weeks before you can sell them, because once I make them, it takes 3 weeks to cure for you to use. I mean, they're bars the next day once you cut them, but if you use them, they would just turn to oil. You know what I mean? So it has to cure and all that. She goes, you got 3 weeks. So I built the website, and I took pictures and I put it up there. And like that picture that we're looking at right now, this was later on, I think. Yeah, that's Cafe Scrub. That came up with that later on. But I put them up, and they were gone by the next morning. And I was like, holy crap. And I called her. I said, make some more. And I was like, I just started putting up, soap will be ready. And so she'd make me 10 more. And I'm like, you know what? You make me 20, make me 30 of each, and this and that. And then, like I said, Layla started coming up with ideas for stuff, and people would just throw me ideas. Like friends would throw me shit and be like, man, I tried a soap with coffee in it the other day. And that's what gave me the idea for the one that's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
And it has, you can see it has coffee grinds in it. And so I just started doing some shit, and it just started blowing up, and the more I made, the more I'd sell. And I never really pushed it super duper hard because I was busy, and I would just, Jeannie would make some, Layla and I would make some, and we would just, I'd sell them online, and never really did anything more than like Instagram or email blast. And I started getting subscribers, and then, I had 200 subscribers, then I had 300.
Wow.
Now I'm up to I think 2,500. And it's not really because I'm pressing it. It was just, it's literally word of mouth. Then that's my whole business model, is word of mouth. If I wanted to really dig in and start paying for advertising, I could probably sell a whole lot more. It's just, I'm doing it when I can, because basically it's come down to now that I moved from Nashville, Jeannie isn't making my soap. She has her own soap company, which is great, called Hollywood Botanica, and Nashville Botanica. And so I just, I'll make it when I got time to make it, or Layla will do something. And it's a wonder. It's one, sometimes I have someone help out with shipping and stuff like that. But other than that, we just do it, and it's still going strong. Now I just started getting back into it because I moved from Tennessee up to New Jersey. So we were kind of idle for a while, because now I'm getting getting rid of the Tennessee, all the business bullshit, getting rid of Tennessee license to sell, and getting New Jersey license and all that kind of crazy shit. But, we started up, we got a cool little operation going up here, and we just started selling again. So
that's awesome. I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube page for you.
Cool. DirtyRockerSoapCo.com.
Say it again.
DirtyRockerSoapCo.com.
There you go. And it's a nice little passive income for you, right? Just something.
It's ridiculous. It's it's just like, I never expected this. I honestly never expected it. And the people, it's a really cool way to communicate with Skid Row fans outside of music, and as well as soap is I didn't realize what a kind of counterculture it is for soap, because people are really specific about soap and and just products like that in general, because they want to know what they're putting on, or in their hair or on their body and shit like that. So
do you sell at the merch table at shows?
No, just everything is just online. I have a few wholesale accounts that are cool, and other than that, I just sell online. It's funny you say that, because a lot of fans say you should do a Skid Row soap and sell at the merch table. So
and you got to split it with the band. Fuck that.
I'm fine. We did. I mean, just pay the cost and then we'll split it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Or go on Shark Tank.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that, but a few soap people have gone on Shark Tank, and they were just like, I don't get it. It's soap.
Right. Let's talk about touring then versus now. If you had to describe the music industry in the 80s in one word, and today in another, what would those words be?
In the 80s was excess, and today is whatever the opposite of excess is. It's just practical. What I mean? You have to think practical nowadays. Back then, you have to realize your worth, which we know, and the Skid Row brand is worth a lot. We know that, and we don't ever sell ourselves short with stuff unless it's going to pay off in a big way, in a promotional way.
Right.
Back in the day, it was just like money was just, every band was hemorrhaging money. Record labels were hemorrhaging money. It was just there. And, we as people learned a lot. Scotty Snake and I, from back in the day till now, we learned a lot about the business end of it, which you need to, because labels, back then labels weren't fair to the artists.
Right.
There's a book out that a friend of mine, Dorothy Cavallo, wrote, called Anything for a Hit. Have you read it?
No, but I will. Sounds great. Yeah.
She was instrumental in us getting signed to Atlantic, and honestly didn't really get the credit that she deserved. We're still friends. And she just lays it out there how the artists were treated. And it's just, and it's still, you have to audit all the time. But anyway, back then it was just, everything was in excess. I didn't do drugs, but there was plenty of them around to do.
Right.
I didn't do it. I didn't partake. I didn't give a shit. I thought it was lame. And then today you just got to be practical and really like, okay, what's the bottom line going to be? You know, we're out here doing what we love, but we're also feeding our families and, you know, just paying mortgages and all that shit. You know, we do the same thing everybody else does.
Yeah.
We're not one of those bands like, you know, Springsteen or Bon Jovi that really don't have to worry about that. Although I'm sure they do. I'm sure they sit there and go, okay, I'm not going to just throw fucking money away, you know, or, you know, we're not Taylor Swift. We're not making that kind of bread. So it's like we go out, and when we go out, we're like, okay, we don't want to, do we need one bus or two bus? We could do it in one bus and a big ass trailer, you know. Do we need a semi to carry gear? No, we could do it in a big ass trailer. Let's figure out how to do it. So back then we didn't think that way. We just went berserk. And, you know, sometimes Doc, who was managing us, would be like, you guys are fucking crazy. You're spending too much money on this shit. Let's, you know, let's do it this way and save you guys some money. So, you know, there would be times like that, but otherwise everything was just fucking wide open, man. You know, whatever you were doing, whatever you were into, you were doing it all the time.
Jesus.
And now it's like, you know, a little wiser.
Yeah. So he's a legendary manager who's managed so many huge artists. What was the best piece of advice he gave you personally?
It was kind of not just to me personally, but, and it was, I don't know whether it was advice or a threat, but when we were on the bus, when we all flew to Russia, it was us and Bon Jovi and Motley and Scorpions, who he was managing all of us. We were all on the bus, and Ozzy and his band were on the bus, but Doc was the go-to guy. Cinderella was there. And he just said, I'm just telling you, we pulled up to the hotel, and he goes, I'm just telling you, any of you motherfuckers get arrested in Russia, you're staying in Russia, because I'm not getting you out of prison. And then he walked off the bus, and we were like, holy shit, he meant that.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, because I mean, he like that whole Moscow Music Peace thing was basically his community service. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So back in the day when he dropped an album, it felt like an event, right? Like, I can't wait to get to Kmart or Turtles Records and like get the thing. Now it's just a link, right?
Yeah.
That you stream on Apple Music or Spotify. Yeah. How did you guys adapt to that? And how does that get monetized now?
It took a while to get it down. You know, monetizing that shit, and some labels, that smaller labels that we signed on to, like they couldn't figure it out. So there's probably still tons of money floating around for the newer records that, you know, we have people that we hire to track that shit down. And every now and then it's like, oh, I found a nice little pocket of money over here that belongs to you guys. Now we just got to get it. But yeah, it's really hard to keep track of that kind of shit. It was when it first started, especially. Now it's a little easier. You got, you know, all kinds of, I can't remember the name of few of the companies that we used that keep track of YouTube, and we have to keep track of streaming services. And, you know, it's really weird that it's really easy. I should say, from what I see, it's a lot easier for actors and film to keep account of everything that's going on, because there's avenues for it, where musicians, it seems like a lot, and bands and artists, it seems like a lot harder. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but just looking from the outside in, it seems like it's a lot harder, and there's not as much help. Were you at the that Grammy function? Did you take me to that in Atlanta that time?
I was a member of the Grammys, yeah. So maybe we did.
Did I go with you? I forget, but Yeah, and they were talking about how the governor was gonna, do the tax breaks for musicians.
Yeah.
And then I guess it never fucking happened.
Oh, they talk a lot of shit, these politicians, man.
Yeah, but I mean, they do it for movies. They do it for the film industry, just not the music industry. And that's why
tax credits. Yeah.
Yeah, tax credits. And that's why.
It's funny you say that, because I went to sushi with John Humphrey from Seether this morning or this afternoon, and Todd Polson, who's the executive producer, hired gun. He was like, man, I just going into the portal, because there's portals you can go look into through the back end of the distributors, right? So right now it's on Peacock, right? It was at Netflix for a while. So, that's where probably he got his biggest chunk of investment back. But he's like, guess how much this quarter paid, and as as a record sells, it's good for the first 6 months and they start declining, right?
Yeah.
And he told me the number, almost fell out of my chair. I'm like, that's it? He goes, yeah, man. But it's money that's going to trickle in forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he owns most of that movie with one of the other producers. So he never sold it to anybody. He's only just licensing it out. So there's going to be money coming in as long as he doesn't sell the album, which is kind of like segues into my next thing. You see all these artists now parting ways with their publishing. Have you been approached to sell yours, or have you already sold it?
No, I didn't sell it, but I've been approached a bazillion times.
Yeah.
And I've been offered a ton of money. And then, a couple times I thought about maybe selling a chunk of it, because there's so many parts to it. And then this is what made me not want to part with any of it, is Stranger Things, that show. Kate Bush, from what I understand, she owns the publishing. She produced it. She wrote it. Never sold the publishing. Kept it. And then that song, how many years later? 30 some odd years later, almost 40. It becomes a #1 hit again.
God.
And it's streaming everywhere. And had she sold that, she would have been sitting there going, holy shit, I should have sold that. So I've been offered a ton of money for it. And I just, right now I'm not interested. Will it depreciate someday? Maybe not. We got a song in that Minecraft movie right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Old Skid Row or new Skid Row?
Old. I Remember You is in the Minecraft movie, in the scene with Jason Momoa, and my phone has been blowing up since that movie opened. And the movie, a lot of people must have seen the movie because it made $300 million in the first weekend. So
so Rachel Bolan became a multi-millionaire again overnight.
Oh, what? Did Tracy Guns do that accounting?
Yeah, right. Oh God, that's got to feel good, man. After all these years, a song that was that big for you guys back in the day is now. And look, you're finding a brand new audience with that too, because those are kids going to that movie with their parents.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the cool thing is like, I really like Jason Momoa as an actor, and it's his scene in the movie.
That's so cool, man.
I was like, fucking, that's really cool. Plus, he's a bass player, so it's so funny. It's like, I'll be somewhere, like, especially when I lived in Nashville, I'd see a really cool bass, like a vintage bass, and I'll see a sold ticket on it. I'll be like, did Momoa buy this? They're like, yep.
Yeah.
Like, that motherfucker goes and buys every vintage bass.
Dude. And he's a beast.
Yeah, it'll just have a JM on the back of the tag. I'm like, motherfucker, this guy's buying up all the cool shit. But
God,
he's one of those guys I'd really like to meet. He seems like he'd be a cool hang.
Yeah, I heard he didn't live far. I used to live in Calabasas when I was in California. I understand that he lives in Topanga Canyon, and was just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah.
I've never seen him around. Who I did see though was another fellow bass player at the local bank there. I used to bank at Chase right there in Calabasas, and bump into Robert Trujillo every now and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he lives up in there. Yeah, and Simon Phillips, is that his name? The drummer that played with AC/DC?
That's Simon Kirk.
Simon Wright.
Simon Wright, that's it.
Simon Wright, yeah. I saw him. Rudy Sarzo would always be hanging out.
I love Rudy.
Rudy's the best. He was on my show last week, man, talking about this big Sabbath thing that's happening in July that he got invited to play at. So he's stoked.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, he's such a
really
good dude. I love that guy.
Dude, when I interviewed him for Hired Gun, I just saw the humanity, like for real, with this guy. Like he is just salt of the earth.
Absolutely. It's funny because he's fucking incredible bass player. And it's like he's overlooked, and he's played with so many people and on stuff that people don't even know about. And he's incredible. So Quiet Riot was playing with us at a show. I forget when, but we're doing our sound check and we did our VIP and stuff, and he got there early and he's just sitting in the seats. And I'm like, oh, I got to play bass in front of Rudy Sarzo. Oh, it sucks. This really sucks.
Oh my God.
He's so good. He's just so fucking good. And like you said, just such a nice guy. He came, they got off stage, and there was like a common area that we were all, like the guys and I were hanging out in, and Quiet Riot came walking through, and Rudy came through with his bass. And like, oh my God, it's the bass. And he put it around my neck and he goes, here, play it. I'm like, you're making me play bass in front of you, dude.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. He's a really cool dude.
He's great. Do you think fans today want new music from legacy bands? And what is, especially now with the declining album sales, as we talked about, it's just everything streaming now. Do you think they just clamor for the legacy music you put out, or are they really looking forward to new music? Because there's a lot of work writing, booking studio time.
I think the fan base, the original fan base, wants new music, but it has to be good. You have to work on it. I don't mind working hard on writing songs. Like, I love writing songs. That's one of my favorite parts of doing this. Studio, when I'm being creative, is cool, but the tediousness of it, if that's even a word, that makes me insane. Writing and playing is fucking awesome. So I'm looking forward. I write just about every day when I can, unless I got something huge going on. But I sit down with a bass or a guitar. I mean, right now I'm sitting I'm in my studio in front of my Pro Tools rig. It's shut off, but I just, that's what I do. I love writing. And so I don't mind writing songs. It's, if you put pressure on yourself, like, it has to sound like old Skid Row, or, are our fans going to like it, or they're not going to like it, you're going to fuck yourself up, because you just got to write. And writing is a muscle. I mean, there's been times, I'll never forget this one time. I wasn't living in Nashville yet, but Snake and I met in Nashville to write, just to get in a hotel room and write. He had some business down there, but after he was done, just got in a hotel room to write. And we sat there for 3 days and didn't come up with shit. Because that's the only time we both had writer's block at the same time.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I got back on in my car to drive home to Atlanta, and I was like, I'm done. Dude. I got nothing in the tank. And then all of a sudden ideas start popping up.
Yeah.
It's a muscle.
It's crazy, man. You say that, because I'm editing my next show, which is called First Call, which is I want to call it a follow-up to Hired Gun. It's much different, but same vein, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'll sit there in front of the editing table, the suite or whatnot, and I'm editing along, and nothing's coming to me, right? Mm-hmm. And to me, creativity happens when it happens.
Right.
Like last night, I was watching TV. It was 11 o'clock at night. I just couldn't stop thinking about going back in there and editing. I was feeling that creative juice flowing. So I went in there and I edited till like 4 a.m, So it's not something you can turn on and off like a switch. It just happens, and a lot of people don't understand that that's an hour kind of line of work as creatives. Yeah. They either think you're lazy or you're not self-motivated. It's not that at all. It's just like, if it's not there at that moment,
you're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time, and then the viewer's time or listener's time if you just go ahead and cram through it.
Yeah, and you're just frustrating yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so funny you say that, because just last night, I was like, man, I haven't gone into my studio and really put any music down in a couple days. We have some family events going on and shit, so I really haven't had a chance. So I came down here, and my brother just the other day gave me this little amp. He goes, man, I found this. You want it? And I was like, hell yeah. It's like a little portable plastic amp. And it sounds awful, but it sounds really cool. And it's like all fuzzy and distorted and shit. And I had other shit to do, but I plugged the guitar in and I started playing it, and it just sounded like Black Flag, like their guitar tone. Yeah. So I started playing. Also, I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, get my phone, put the recording on, started writing a tune. And I'm like you said, creativeness hits you when it hits you. You have no fucking choice in the matter, you know, and it's up to you whether you want to run with it or worry about, you know, running back upstairs and, you know, paying the electric bill.
Yep.
You can do that tomorrow. You know, you can pay the electric bill tomorrow. You know, writing a song or editing something cool or just painting a picture. You got to do it, man. Like my dad would always say, strike when the iron's hot.
That's right, man. How do you approach promoting your music today in tours? Are you a hands-on guy, or do you have a team of people that do that? Collaborative?
We're lucky at our management. We're with Primary Wave Entertainment, and they have just about everything in-house. And we have one of the guys that co-managed the band. His name is Rob Dippold. He's the guy, like that idea guy that is just like, here's what you guys should do. Here's what I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. And it's never like you guys need to do this or you guys should do this. It's like, here's an idea I have. What do you guys think about it? Or let's expand on it and do this. We just did it this morning. And, but we're very hands-on with looking at the ad mats and making sure we're very protective of the brand. So we want to make sure everything looks cool. If there's a situation like, you know, a show with a band that doesn't make sense for us to be on with, we think it and we talk about it and we're like, well, it's a radio show, so it's this and that. And, you know, just stuff like that. But we're hands-on with everything, like the t-shirt designs, a lot of them I do, everything like that. When it comes down to, we're just all over it, you know, and we don't want to do anything promotion wise that's going to make us look silly. You know what I mean? And, just let's do it where it serves a purpose, not just to have the band's name out. The band's name is out there. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's promote it so it serves a purpose. And our label's really good. They got a great promotional department. And, you know, the promoters themselves are, you know, I think they really like when a band is hands-on, because no one knows their fan base better than the artist or the band themselves, you know?
Right. When you hear the word Skid Row legacy, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
The fact that we have one, you know, that we have a legacy is just, it's really cool. And we've been around for almost 40 years, you know? And to say that, I didn't even know whether I was going to live to be 40. When you're a kid doing it, it's like, what's 40? That's old. You know what I mean? And now I'm 61. So it's like, it's just something that it blows my mind. Like when I do stuff like this and people introduce me as, you know, from the legendary band Skid Row, I'm like, I've heard that like quite a few times, and every time I hear it, I'm like, are we though? Are we legendary? And then you go, like, immediately I go down our list of accomplishments, like up to today, you know, and
right.
And some things that don't seem like accomplishments to people on the outside are huge accomplishments to me. Like, just, you know, we played, when Johnny was in the band, we played they call it the Polish Woodstock, and we played in front of almost 600,000 people. We headlined the show in Poland, and it was the first time we ever played Poland. And it was unbelievable. A lot of people don't even know about that. So that's a huge accomplishment.
Wow.
Still being here is a huge accomplishment. You know, the fact that we're still talking about Skid Row and I'm in Skid Row, you know what I mean? And we're still going, it's an accomplishment. So there's huge accomplishments that everyone has seen. And then there's other accomplishments that only like the inner circle has seen, but they're just as big of an accomplishment as the other ones are.
Right. So you mentioned you just recently got married not too long ago. So I'm assuming you've been with your then fiance for a while. So when you're gone for a few months on the road and everything's done for you, right? You have a call sheet or a day sheet on the bus, you know, venue load in, breakfast, lunch, meet and greet, sound check, show, bus call, laundry for this day, put it in the production office by this time. Then you come home. Is it back to reality? Rachel, would you take out the fucking trash? You know,
yeah.
like
without doubt. I've been doing it for 2 months.
Yeah.
Can you clean up the cat shit in the litter box? No problem. I got it. You know, it's your turn to empty the dishwasher. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. You're like,
but it is what it is, man. It's like you gotta be the guys that just lose their fucking mind and lose their marbles are the guys that can't differentiate fantasy from reality. Like when you're on the road, most of that is fantasy. You know what I mean? Like you're and you know everyone thinks it's really glamorous, but you know as well as any of it's not really that glamorous
at all.
The fantasy part is like, oh, you're getting interviewed. You know, Fran Strine wants you to do podcasts. Oh, you're doing this TV show. Oh, you're on Good Morning Indianapolis tomorrow. You got to be there at 5 o'clock. Got to get makeup. This, that, all of those terms, getting makeup and airtime and blah blah blah. That's all like fantasy shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Your glam squad.
Yeah, exactly. you go out on stage, and you know every night before my foot hits the stage, I feel fucking grateful, and I tell myself, you are the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And I hit that stage, and I'm the character Rachel Bolan, right? And then when I get home, I'm Rachel Bolan who takes out the garbage and cleans the shit out of the litter box. You know what I mean? And unloads the dishwasher.
Right.
So a lot of those guys that have their laundry constantly done, that have their luggage carried for them. I never have people carry luggage for me. It makes me really fucking uncomfortable.
Right.
And the guys that don't, you know, order their own food and all that shit, when they get home, they don't know what fucking reality is. They can't go downstairs and fix their fucking washing machine or even buy one online for that matter. And that's where some guys just fucking lose it, where they can't differentiate that fantasy from reality.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard, because when you're going up, everything's fucking great. And then you plateau and you're just like, oh, things are still pretty cool. And then once it's like, wow, your band isn't popular anymore. Oh, your band's been the new regime has come in and you guys are forgotten about. And then guys that still walk around thinking that it's 1989 and it's not.
Right.
And they got to fucking man up and realize that it's fucking not. I never had a problem with that. I had parents that kept me grounded, man. They were just like, they would tell me, this train doesn't ride forever. If it does, great. But if it doesn't, have a backup plan. Have a strong enough plan B that it becomes a strong plan A. And that was always their thing. And they'd say, you know, my dad would always say, every dollar you make in your head, condition yourself to think it's only 50 cents. Because this way, I made $100 tonight at a gig, but I actually made $50. Now I have $50 to pay my taxes, and in case I get a flat tire, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that. So you always have a backup plan, which makes perfect sense. The older I get, I just think they were fucking right. Everything they said was right. Yep. It's just like they were the ones that said, "Don't go crazy buying shiny shit." You know, you buy stuff that you can afford. And don't go crazy. Treat yourself every now and then, but don't go fucking crazy with your money. And I always thought that way. I still think that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get a fucking royalty check. I'll be like, God damn, people still like this song, you
Yeah.
know? and I'll put it in the bank and be like, oh, cool. You know, I'll put that towards taxes.
So
Yeah.
it's funny
Kind of
to tell.
boring, but yeah, it's just, you know, that we were middle class, and Dad was a hard worker. He did construction his whole life, and Mom worked at a school. So, you know, and I was the fourth of 4 kids. So Dad just worked. And my brothers and sister and I always talk. It's like, man, when it's really fucking cold out or really hot out, it's like Dad used to go to work in this shit and build houses. And he had his own company. He wasn't like with a corporation. It was just him.
Right.
And like he'd get home like when it was dark and it was like fucking, you know, -2 outside, and never bitched, never moaned, because he was putting food on the table for his family. And that's where I learned my work ethic, was from my mom and dad. And Snake was the same way. His mom worked really hard, and he has we have the same work ethic. And it's like, the job isn't done until it's done. You know what I mean? There's no cutting corners. You have to, you know, you have to make it happen. And so that's always been ingrained in my head, and just not to go crazy with my bread. And I never did. Like, I own a house and 2 cars. That's what I own, and they're all paid for. Because I don't need other shit, man. Every now and then I'll be like, that bass over there in that shop, and so I'll get it. But dude, I moved from Nashville up here, and I have, between basses and guitars, I have fucking 50. And I know that's probably small, like compared to some guys. I don't need fucking 50 guitars. I have the same 3 or 4 that I play every goddamn day. But there's some that I got because I've always wanted, but I don't need that many fucking guitar. And my defense, 2 of them are Snakes. So.
Oh, okay. Let's jump into, do you guys do the VIP meet and greets where the fans can pay to come see you and have an opportunity to press the flesh? Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Because back in the day, that wasn't a thing. If a fan wanted to meet you, they either had to hang out by the tour bus and hope to God they got a glimpse of you to get you to come over and sign something, or, you know, I don't know, was Skid Row, you guys were on rotation, man. So you weren't a faceless band back then, right? You guys go to the mall and get noticed.
Yeah.
What is that like now? Is it like, man, one of the artists I talked to, it's a guarantee that you get to meet the band, period. But is Rachel Bolan in the streets going to sign and take a picture for somebody without the meet and greet experience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know,
okay.
But it's really weird. What we do, our meet and greets are sound check, and we do a few songs that, you know, and they get a poster, a signed, you know, hard stock photo. I guess it's 11 by 17. And that's signed before they get in, but it's signed by the band. It's not like our crew just signing the shit. Signed by the band. A piece of merch, I think they get early entry into the show. Like, once we're done, they just go and wait by the merch table or out in the lobby of the venue. They don't have to get back online or anything like that. And we get a big group picture. And the reason why we did we're on stage. The reason why we were doing that way is because of COVID. And when, you know, the spikes up and down and whatever you think about COVID,
right?
If a guy in a band gets COVID, the fucking tour comes to a screeching halt unless there's some crew guy that could cover for him. Okay, so that's why we were doing that. And we'll do a big group picture. Everyone go online and get it. All the fans that they made friends with are all in the picture, and that happens more times than not. Like, we'll see as we're finishing up, people trading numbers. Oh yeah, no fuck, I'm going to the show tomorrow night. I'll meet you there. And here's my number. And that to me is awesome. You know what I mean? That is really fucking cool. But yeah, that's our meet and greet, and we keep the prices really, really reasonable because it's just kind of extra income for us, which at first we didn't even want to do because it felt weird. But then it was actually the fans that got us to do it because they're like, why don't you guys do VIPs? And we were getting that more than not.
Right.
And so we're like, all right, cool, but we got to make it cool. We're not just going to, you know,
sponge the money. Yeah.
Here's a pick, you know, see ya, pat on the back, see ya. It's like, if they're going to be putting out more money, then let's make it cool. So like I said, we'll do a few songs that we don't do in the set that night.
Oh,
and
cool.
Yeah, so they get to see something extra. And, you know, obviously we don't get dressed up. Sometimes some of the guys are in fucking sweatpants, you know, and they get to see us. They could take as many pictures as they want, just no video. And you know, it's cool. It actually ended up being a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes people will just ask you questions when you're up on the stage. And yeah, that's another thing too. Before we even start playing, we just have conversations. Like each guy is having a conversation with like 10 different people, you know.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah, and it's just like kind of chilling. And I got it was cool. We played a casino, and it was a Native American casino, and I didn't understand the name of the casino. So I go, is it two different nations? And the one woman was Native American. She goes, yep, you're exactly right. And she gave me the whole history. And I didn't want to stop, because I was getting this education from this woman that was telling me about the history of the two nations and how they used to be enemies, and they came together, and that this whole section is the whole area is these two nations. And that's why it's called, and it's like a hybrid of both. Sure. And I can't remember it. It escapes me right now. But she was just telling me the whole thing, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. And so it's just like moments like that. Like, I hope it meant as much to her as it did to me, because it meant that shitload to me that she was actually giving me the whole lowdown of everything. And right. So we'll have conversations just we're sitting on the monitors, and they're leaning up against the barrier, and we'll just chit chat until our tour manager's like, dudes, we got to get going here, you know. Yeah, because Buck Cherry was coming on. They had to sound check and set up their shit. So they're like, we got to fucking roll here. But, yeah, you know, it's cool. So it's cool. Really fun.
All right, I'm just going to throw some rapid fire this or that questions at you. Okay. No explanation needed unless you want to give one. Tour bus or hotel suite?
Hotel suite. You don't smell everyone else's farts.
Yeah, exactly. Analog or digital?
Both. I like both. I like the sound of some analog, but I like the quickness of digital. What's funny is, like, and we always bring this up, it's like, how many hours when we do a record, how many hours do we save just not having to rewind?
Dude.
Hours.
Yeah.
Probably days.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you do your solo. Okay, take it back to the top of the solo.
Punch it in.
Yep. So, okay, there's 10 seconds there. Do it over again. Do that bass part over again. This and that. Like, you probably saved like days on the whole recording process.
And money. That tape's not cheap. It's like film.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
You know, a hard drive doesn't cost that much.
Right. I do love the sound of analog.
Yeah,
you know,
I do too.
Some of the shit that they could put on digital now to make it sound analog is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Studio time or stage time?
Stage time.
Yeah. Nothing like that rush of that crowd.
Yep.
Power ballad or headbanger?
Headbanger.
Yeah. Monkey business, straight out the flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get it going. Flying versus long drives on a bus?
Fly.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. And I don't like flying. It's just like when you get into those like Canadian drives that it's like fucking 12 hours between cities, and you have to stop after 8 hours for the driver to rest.
Yeah.
So it turns into a 16-hour fucking drive, and you're just like,
yeah, you lose a whole day of just chilling, you know.
I'd rather just deal with the airplane and get to the hotel.
Yeah. Big stage or intimate club setting?
Both. I love them both. I love them both. If you know, you could have good shows at both, and you could have bad shows at both. But you know, when you have a good show at either one, it's the shit.
Yeah. Here you go. Vinyl or streaming convenience?
Vinyl.
Same, man. Same.
I don't care about taking that time to,
flip the record.
Yeah, wipe the record up. You know what I mean?
Dude, I was doing dishes this morning. I'm like, I'm going to throw in a fucking album. I got my record player in the living room.
Yep.
It's old Sansui from 1973, speakers, the whole thing. And I put on Sabotage Gutter Ballet.
Oh, wow.
And just fucking rocked. Yeah.
I've been cranking Parallel Lines.
Oh, okay.
By Blondie for Clem Burke.
Yeah, man. My buddy was his drum tech for a bunch of years.
Yeah, I never met him, but he is one of my favorite drummers of all time.
Yeah. Best smell, fresh strings or a vintage amp?
Ooh. Vintage amp. That mustiness. Yeah.
Okay. Who parties harder, bands in the 80s or the crews?
Our crew back in the 80s partied pretty hard. I would say the crews, they party harder than I did anyway.
Yeah. Oh my God. Would you rather lose a bass on tour or your cell phone? Oh
man. I guess it depends on the bass, but I've never lost a bass on tour. I have lost a cell phone, and it sucks because it's like your wallet. You know what I mean?
It's your lifeline to everything, right?
To everything. So yeah, probably a bass.
Yeah.
But like I said, it depends on the bass.
Sound check. The drummer nonstop fucking around, beating his drums, or the guitar players are just too loud?
Oh. Both of those are giving me anxiety.
Right.
Rob actually pays attention. So I'm lucky to have a drummer that actually pays attention, and he'll do his shit, and when he's done with his shit, he's ready to go. Like if someone else is trying to figure something out, he's very aware of everything that's going on. Where sometimes the other guys, it's like you go to say, hey, so you have to, can you turn the mic on, please, to the monitor guy? Yo,
shut up. Bus prank wars or dead serious tour etiquette?
Dead serious tour etiquette.
Same, man. Yeah, that's your privacy and everything else.
Yeah. The tour pranks.
Yeah. Who's harder to impress, your fans or your bandmates?
It depends on the situation, but I would say fans, without a doubt.
Okay. Would you rather be remembered for your bass tone or your hair?
My bass tone. Get about my hair. This is still my COVID hair,
right?
I just got a gut.
Yeah. Would you rather do a show in Tokyo or New Jersey?
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing against New Jersey, but Tokyo is just the homecoming gigs are never what you think they're going to be. You know what I mean? At least I've discovered, I've noticed kind of that, but I could, New Jersey's always here. I live in New Jersey. So it's like, to go to Tokyo to play is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Tokyo is a cool place. Yeah, what's a riff or bass line you're most proud of writing?
Quicksand Jesus, the bass line in that, the riff to We Are the Damned, which is on one of the EPs with Johnny. Those two things. I really like the subtleness and the simpleness and openness of the bass line in 18 in Life too.
Cool. Do you remember the first time you heard yourself on the radio, and what song was it, and what did that feel like?
Well, let's see. I'm not sure it was the first time, but I remember being in New York. We were there doing press, so they had us staying at the Mayflower, and two friends of mine. It was a really cool night. Two friends of mine, Mary Gormley and Michael Alago, said, "Hey, we're going to the Cat Club. There's some bands we know playing. Pretty sure Joey Ramone is going to be there. I talked to him earlier, so you'll get to meet Joey Ramone." So I'm like, "Fuck, I'll go." So I go, I meet Joey Ramone. He's a nice fucking guy in the world. I get in a cab to go back, and now it's like probably 1:30, 2 in the morning. I got a pretty good buzz. It was summertime. I got the window open in the cab. There was a car next to us at the light, and it was, I forget it's the pop dance, like the as pop station as you could get in New York. I can't remember the call letters right now, but you know, they like all the DJs would have like reverb on them and stuff, and shit like that. There's always, whenever they were talking, there was always like stuff going on in the background. Anyway, it was a station I never listened to, but I knew about because it had been around forever, and they were playing 18 in Life.
Holy shit.
And the dudes in the car were singing it, and they didn't look anything like our fans. And I just remember looking over and making eye contact with the dudes, and they didn't know who I was or anything. And I was just like, holy shit, we are on this station. These two guys that do not look like any of our fans are fucking rocking out to our song. And, you know, I think Paula Abdul came on like immediately after it or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. And it was that type of station. And I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy. It's like, we're on to something here, man. You know,
dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Here's some band stuff. I'm having a look at my computer here, but AC/DC or Led Zeppelin?
AC/DC.
Metallica or Megadeth?
Megadeth.
Same. Yeah. Iron Maiden or Priest?
Whew, Priest.
Thank you. Otherwise, I'm gonna say, "Fuck you, dude. This interview's over."
Click.
I know. Black Sabbath or Deep Purple?
Deep Purple.
Oh, interesting. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
The Clash or the Sex Pistols?
Oh man,
mm-hmm.
That is really hard. If you held a gun to my head, Sex Pistols.
Yeah, I love the Sex Pistols.
Me too. I love the Clash too. Yeah, but yeah, Sex Pistols.
Slayer or Anthrax?
Probably Anthrax, because I listened to Anthrax a lot. Like I was a really late bloomer with Slayer.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it would be Anthrax because I know more of their stuff.
Guns N' Roses or Aerosmith?
Aerosmith.
Yep. Motorhead or Hawkwind?
Motorhead.
The Ramones or the Misfits?
Ramones.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Dude, let me get myself back on screen. I got to tell you this. I got to see the Ramones in Marietta, Georgia at the Strand Theater back in the day.
Wow. That's cool.
It was one of the most violent shows I have ever. And I've toured for 30 years, dude, with Slipknot and it was scary. Like,
wow, that surprises me.
Yeah, it was completely unleashed at the Strand. I don't know if you know where the Strand Theater is, but it's in the square in Marietta, Georgia.
Okay, yeah, I've never done it. Yeah, I've seen the Ramones like a lot.
Yeah,
and yeah, I've never. I mean, I've been in the mosh pit plenty of times at Ramones shows, and it was just always like somebody fell, and no one would just stomp over them. They would fucking pick them up, and you didn't have any of those guys throwing the elbows and shit like that. Like, at a lot of hardcore shows that would happen. So it's just like, do I just listen to the band or go get my teeth knocked out in the mosh pit?
Yep, exactly.
It's not fun, man. It's like you want to go fucking nuts and slam dance. It's cool, but
yeah, I saw Wendell Williams at the Metroplex in Atlanta, which was it's the size of like a Starbucks, tiny. And my best friend at the time, Kevin, got thrown into the air, landed down, and snapped his ankle.
Oh,
it was fucking brutal,
man.
It was brutal. Let's see, Ozzy or Rob Zombie?
Ozzy.
Yeah, Blink-182 or Green Day?
Green Day.
System of a Down or Korn?
Korn.
Alice Cooper or Marilyn Manson?
Alice Cooper. I love Marilyn Manson, but fucking Alice Cooper is Alice Cooper.
He's the king.
I grew up on that shit.
Yeah. The Offspring or Bad Religion?
Bad Religion. Okay. I was just listening to Bad Religion like 2 days ago.
Really?
The Stranger Than Fiction record, yeah.
Black Flag or Minor Threat?
Black Flag.
The Stooges or Velvet Underground?
Stooges.
Alice in Chains or Soundgarden?
Man, that's tough. Probably Soundgarden. I love Alice in Chains though.
Yeah.
So I fucking Cornell. Goddamn.
Dude, beast. Yeah. The Doors or the Who?
Oh, the Who. Yeah.
Let's see. Bad Brains or Agnostic Front?
Bad Brains.
The Dead Kennedys or Social Distortion?
Dead Kennedys.
Okay. Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd.
Rancid or NoFX?
Rancid.
Kiss or Van Halen?
Kiss.
Okay, here's a good one. The Sex Pistols or the Ramones?
I have to say Ramones.
Okay, let's see.
Ramones are like my top three. It's AC/DC, Kiss, and Ramones.
Okay, in that order. Okay.
No, not in that order. It's probably Ramones or Kiss, Ramones, AC/DC, but
okay. The Misfits or the Cramps?
Again, I'm a late bloomer with the Misfits, but like last year just started listening to Misfits. But Cramps.
Okay.
Cramps, yeah.
Motley Crue or Def Leppard?
Def Leppard.
Oh, cool. Cool. Ghost or Behemoth?
You know what? I don't know any songs by either of those.
Really? Let me tell you. I'm a huge Ghost fan.
Yeah.
Right. There's not many new bands that came out after the Priests and stuff that I really care about. If you like Blue Oyster Cult, like 70s Alice Cooper rock, the singer he doesn't have a great voice, but he's got great melody. Right.
Well, I saw them.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I saw them open for Maiden in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't at all what I expected because I had never heard any of their music. It kind of sounded like it kind of had pop sensibilities to it.
For sure.
Like pop as in like ABBA.
Yeah.
Sensibilities. So I was just like, whoa, I was expecting something really extreme, you know what I mean? But I didn't hate it. I just don't know any of their stuff. And I don't know any Behemoth.
Okay. Yeah. So Record Store Day is this Saturday. Is there anything out that's coming out that you know of that you're really looking forward to get your hands on?
I haven't. All like just moving here, and we have a wedding. My stepdaughter's getting married and stuff, so it's like all that shit going on. I haven't even been paying attention to Record Store Day. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, that's right. Wow. It's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah. The only thing I saw that I must have is a live Priest album from '82 at the Omni in Atlanta. Yeah,
I played the Omni.
Did you really?
With Bon Jovi.
Was I there? Maybe not. I saw Bon Jovi open for the Scorpions at the Omni.
Yeah, they did on their first one. They also opened for Rat at one point.
No shit. Are you tight with the Bon Jovi camp still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with John, I talk to John. I see Dave every now and then. Now that I'm back in Jersey, I run into him at the boardwalk.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I talk to John pretty often.
Okay. Yeah, I saw their documentary. It was pretty well done.
It was. He put himself out there, man.
Yeah, he did. And all the stars and everything else.
Yeah, he owned everything, and it made me really proud to be his friend.
Yeah. I see Rich. Well, I used to see Rich. He lives in Calabasas, and he's next door neighbors with Ray Parker Jr. So they would always come hang out. And I remember Richie wanted to borrow one of Ray's guitars, so we went over to his house. He was recording, and Bob Rock was producing. I'm like, holy shit, that's Bob Rock, you know? So it's cool hanging out with those guys. But before we go, man, I just want to say on a personal note, dude, we've known each other a while, and my mother was recently diagnosed with dementia, and I get choked up just thinking about you. You are one of the few people that kept in constant contact with me to check on me, give me well-needed advice that I heeded. And it really helped with my journey into the unknown, you know, especially living across the country. So I appreciate that, man. More than you know.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Without doubt. I lived through it twice. So
I can't imagine, man.
It's fucking brutal. It's fucking brutal, man. And it's just horrible. It's a horrible disease, but I'm glad I could be there for you.
Yeah, and now she's in a facility that's fantastic. Like I can sleep at night knowing she's in a good spot. I got a Ring camera so I can spy on it, and like,
oh, that's cool.
Like,
that's great. That's awesome.
And they welcomed it, which was scary because I was like, if they don't let me bring this in, am I going to move to Atlanta? And
I was just going to say that's huge that they're do it. You know?
Yeah. So I really appreciate that. And then lastly, you know, I know you guys are currently looking for a singer, but what else is coming up that fans can be excited about? And I know you got this new re-release out, but anything?
Yeah, I got the new re-release. We like I said, I'm not sure of the schedule, but we're going to do more of those. I can't make the announcement yet. I got something. I'll tell you when we're done.
Yeah. Can I take a guess?
What?
You're going to book some shows and have Lizzie come out.
I wish. I wish.
Okay.
They're going out with Maiden.
Are they really?
Yeah, in Europe, I think they're doing a bunch of shows with Maiden, and they're doing that Sabbath thing too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wish. Hopefully, you know, maybe that'll happen, but maybe this weekend we'll find a singer. So
yeah,
I'll be calling one dude. Yeah.
Oh my God. So do you have it narrowed down, pared down to a few people that you really have a hard look at?
No, we've gone through about 5, and some of them, one in particular was phenomenal. But we're not, like I said, we're taking our time, and we keep getting to the point of, okay, well, let's think about open auditions. And then all of a sudden people will pop up. It's like, okay, well, let's not do open auditions yet because we have these. And so as luck would have it, we were just getting ready to put a whole plan together, and then 3 guys popped up at once. And so we'll see what happens after this weekend, because I might be calling you saying, dude, let's do another podcast because I got the news.
Dude, I'd love to have an exclusive on that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously bigger networks out there, but I'd love to get the opportunity to talk to you about that. And then has it ever been brought up to do a documentary on you guys? Because I'd raise my hand to do that, dude.
You'd be the guy to do it, man. Yeah. It has. I think it would be really cool. I think it would be a great story to tell.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I can't wait to see who your new singer is going to be, and I'm sure he's going to have all 3 ingredients: sing his ass off, be badass on stage, and the most important, probably out of all 3, is be a cool hang.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Yep. That we're taking that big time into consideration.
Yeah. All right, man. Good, dude. Good seeing you, man.
Right on, brother. You too.
See ya.